Hi out there. Great to meet you on this platform once again. This is video number 6 on addiction, substance use, and bad behavior. My name is James Komolafe. I'm a behavioral therapist and doctor handling cases of behavior maladaptation. How do I mean? Bad behavior is my terrain. Not because I behave badly, but people who are out there are needing help, support in order to behave well. And of course, I handle the good, the bad, and the ugly behavior. Just as you take your car to the motor mechanic and they will profile and see what exactly goes the wrong order with your car in order to put it in order. So I do by training on behavior and behavioral issues. I am lead consultant at Saba Resources Intervention Hub, where we do exploration, digging deep into the individual, then expression, bringing out what is being done for the individual to even see and appreciate. And then we do establishment to say, oh, you can be better. You can walk away and be free from addiction, whether drug addiction or substance use or abuse, as the case may be. So on this episode, I want to show you from this video how to handle addiction. How do we profile for addiction? Addiction is that concept that is adding up to your lifestyle protocol to make you behave in the bad and the ugly manner, which is almost and always in competition with your original person, your personal definition. Is shifted off track when you are into addiction. You find yourself doing what you are not supposed to do without restraint, and yet you cannot say no to it. Why? Because the trend has grown from just a common thought phenomenon to a bad habit which you have repeated over times. And before you know it, you no longer can do away with it, even when you know that the implication is always a negative one with you as a person. So, doctor, how do I profile an individual with addiction? In the Saba Resources Profiling Hub, we have 2 reality checks that we run to profile for addiction or any addictive behavior whatsoever. And that will help us to be able to discover point blank the level of addiction, the type of addiction, and even the behavioral pattern the individual have showcased over time. All you need to do through these reality checks is to get up with your personal biometrics, your name, WhatsApp number, age, what you do, where you are. The first check we run is called Addiction Manifestation Assessment Test, while the second one is called Addiction Cycle Assessment Test. Now, let's examine the qualities of the first one, Addiction Manifestation Assessment Test. It is called AMAT 101. While the other one is called ACAT 101. that is addiction cycle assessment test. Addiction, as the name is, will first manifest, show up its ugly face as what? A manifestation. How does it manifest? We treated that in the last series. That through a thought that you harbor, before you know it, it's no longer beggarly through a thought. It has become part of your life in the form of bad habit that sift you away from your normal lifestyle protocol. And as it grows in that habit, it soon becomes an ugly matter that is ruling over your mind, over your thoughts and your feelings, and you no longer can say no to all its urges. So now let's look at the components of addiction manifestation assessment test so that you can profile yourself or somebody close to you or a client as a coach. I want to assume you have the assessment test already sent to you and you have it handy for a hard copy. On top of it, you will see where you put the name, what's the name and the name of your client or so, and then on what ground are you testing him? Is it for drug addiction, porn, substance abuse? Please put it there because that will be the basis for the test as you answer the 10 questions there. So there's a graph on top which you will use to evaluate your client. 1 means dull, 2 poor, 3 tolerable, 4 fair, 5, 6, 7, even to 10. That graph on top is the same as the 10 columns on your right of your assessment sheet. We call it psychometric analysis. This sheet is to help you download the content and context of the mind of the addicted on ink and paper so that you can sum it up to see to what percentage the individual is being a victim of addiction. So 1 on the graph means 1 on the column. 7 on the graph means 7 on the column. It's just to tell you what columns 1 to 10 means. So you are going to ask these 10 questions from the client or the one in addiction, and then as he feels to him between 1 to 10, you begin to tick question by question. For example, question 1 on AMAT 101 says, how well do you discern continuity? In other words, an unbroken trend of a repeated episode in that addiction, whether drug or not. If the individual has had several repeated episodes and these questions apply to him, in fact, totally, then he will be scoring very high. Maybe 8, 9, 10. If he's doing it all of the time, 8, 9, 10. But maybe seldom, not really much, or newly introduced to it, he can be scoring 1, 2, or 3. If he's doing it well, halfway, that is 5 over 10. So all you do is to tick under the column what sounds and feels right, given the question with the client. Question 2 is asking about negativity. How well do you discern negativity? In other words, vices and bad habits dictating the normal rule of life. Person will say, I can't think of myself again. This thing is having a chunk of me. Then it's scoring high. If it is low, where it's not controlling me, although those negative vices, they only happen once in a blue moon. Maybe it's scoring 1 or 2. So that's how you will trace it down to the last question, which is reality. How well do you design reality? In other words, the gap in existence between what the individual is inside and what happens on the outside. Is the gap widening? He says something on the inside, but doing something else on the outside. If he says exactly, that's the confusion I find myself. He's calling 7, 8, 9, 10. If there is no really any difference, in other words, his coping mechanism with the drug is strong. Some take drug regularly and yet they don't misbehave. So it's scoring low there. We need all of this to be properly ticked in line with the reflection of your client. So how do you sum up? Whatever is the tick on each column, you multiply by the column number on top and write the answer right down in the category box under the column. For example, if your client scores 3 times under column 3, you say column number 3, number of tick 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. You put it down in the category box under column 3 as 9. If under column 5 he scores himself 2 times, you say 5 the column number multiplied by the number of times he scored, which is 2. 5 times 2, 10. You put it there. And wherever he scores again, you will put it.